Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. Is the background music too loud behind?
Swamiji, we cannot hear the background music.
You cannot hear the background sound, no?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay, okay. So that means it will not be in the recording also.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm,
It will
okay.
be very clear recording.
Okay. Because some loud music is going on.
Okay.
In our last session, we commenced the discussion on the short text by Adi Shankaracharya ji, Nirvana Shatkam. Now, as it was discussed last time, this text is more than any discussion, it should be contemplated upon. It is for meditation purposes. Because this is the declaration of a realized master. What he has realized, he has declared here. In brief, also, we saw the spiritual path, sadhan chatushtay, and so on. And finally, we entered the main text. So, Swami Tedyamanji, who has given the commentary on these shlokas in the introduction, he gave a broad view of Vedantic knowledge, Vedantic path, to realize the self, which Adi Shankaracharya himself realized, and he has declared his realization in this particular text. So when we chant these verses, as a seeker, we have to be very careful. Whatever has been said here, it is the statement of a realized master, not of a seeker. So therefore, when a seeker is reading, chanting, and contemplating, this awareness should be there that what has been declared is declared by a realized master. So what is declared by the realized master, that is applicable to the realized master. Until we also realize it, then it will be applicable to us. But the realized master has given a template here that what to expect and where we need to contemplate upon. Because the first 5 verses in Shatkam, Nirvana Shatkam, is all negation. What I am not. So for a seeker, this is very good because we can use your intellect, our intellect we can use very well to negate what we are not. To know who we are, to realize who we are, we have to go beyond the intellect. So the first 5 verses are all negation. So that will help us in negating what we are not. And we have been doing that for several texts now since last 5-6 years. So now we are fairly familiar with the process. So in our last session, we had taken up after the introduction, we took up the discussion on the very first shloka of this Nirvana Shatkam, which began with Mano Buddhi Chitta, Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chittani Naham, Nacha Shotra Jivve, Nacha Prana Netre, Nacha Vyoma Bhumihi, Na Tejo, Na Vayuhu, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, Shivoham. So, here we have elaborately discussed on the Antakaran Chatushtay, that is Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, Na Aham. In this, the most important one is that Ahankara, which appears in its own absence. If this Ahankara is not there, then there is absolutely no problem. That is the cause of everything. Ahankara can be, of course, variously described as ignorance, Maya, and so on. This ego. The world which we experience today, it is because of the ego. Without ego, there cannot be any interactions, and therefore there cannot be any relationships at all. Minus the ego, everybody will be abiding in their own self, and they will be in their infinite blissful state. So only because of ego, if the creation is there, all the creatures are there, and there is no ego, then there is no interaction, no relationships, nothing. And everybody will be in their blissful state, and there will be no activity going on anywhere, anything. So for the Prakriti, for the samsara to go as we perceive now, the ego is very much required. Without ego, this will not go. So after creation, if there is no ego, then there is no samsara. Everything will end up just in a very short time. Ramakrishna Paramahansa said that a realized master who has dissolved his ego, if he doesn't have any mission in this life, then his body may survive for a maximum of maybe 3 weeks, no more than that. Because then he'll be abiding in his own real self and he'll totally neglect the body. And when the body is neglected, if it is not fed or anything like that, it will simply drop off. So if there is a mission, then it will continue. But then another great master has said that the ego of a realized master is like a burnt rope. It appears like the burnt rope will appear, but it is incapable of binding him or anyone else. So that is the difference between a realized master whose ego has been dissolved and all the others who are still on the path, or those who do not have any mission after realization. That is what happens, because then everybody will be in their blissful state and no activity will go on. There will be no interactions, no relationship, nothing. So this ego is the factor. And we can see in the deep sleep state, when the world is fast asleep, and if that world is absorbed, when all the jivas are fast asleep, there is no interaction, no relationship, no good or bad, nothing, no enmity, no friend, no love, no hatred, nothing, absolutely nothing. Only when the jiva starts waking up and get identified with their body, and then all the problem starts, all the samsara begins after that only, not otherwise. So this ahankara is part of that antakaran chatushtaya, mana, buddhi and chitta. So ahankara is the common which identifies, ego is the common which identifies with the mind, with the buddhi, intellect, and with the chitta, that is the memory. So this, we had gone into great detail in discussing this particular thing, because that is the only thing that needs to be dissolved. In spirituality, dissolving the ego is the only thing. And dissolving the ego is also not so easy. It is very difficult. It is very, very difficult. But of course, not impossible. It will be extremely difficult, no doubt. And people may get deceived also, thinking that, okay, my ego is dissolved. It doesn't happen like that. It is like this. somebody wants to be full of humility and humbleness, the moment he thinks I have become full of humility or I am now very humble, that moment itself it disappears, that humbleness goes away. It is like that. It is very, very subtle. If somebody asks this question, do you think I have ego? Who is asking this question then? If you have no ego, this question should not come. Do you think I have the ego? So it is very, very subtle and it can fool us also. So here the journey is difficult, no doubt. Many a time there will be a misconception that my ego has dissolved. I have no more ego. Well, the only test, if there is no more ego, the only test is that we have to be in infinite bliss every moment, irrespective of the external circumstances, whether they are favorable or unfavorable. That is the only test. If really our ego has been dissolved completely, that is the only test. So if that is not so, if I am not in that infinite bliss every moment, and even if the external circumstances are against me, unfavorable, non-conducive, and yet it will not impact my that infinite blissful state, then only one can say that okay, ego is dissolved. Not otherwise. Otherwise, we will be in some misconception as regards our spiritual progress is concerned. So that is the only test that we can put ourselves to. Has my ego really dissolved? This question also will not come if it has been dissolved completely. That doubt will not come. That question will not come. And external conditions and environment, unfavorable or non-conducive, will not affect. Even if there may be 1,001 ailments in the body, that will not affect the blissful state of the realizer of truth who has dissolved his ego. Because there is nothing to identify with that body, mind, intellect equipment. So that is the ultimate realization. That is the goal of spiritual path, dissolving the ego, either through the path of bhakti, through the path of devotion, or through the path of knowledge, through the path of inquiry. In the path of devotion, they don't go into all the discussions on this like we do in the path of knowledge or path of inquiry or Vedantic path. There, the most important thing is complete surrender at the feet of our Ishtadevata, of our Lord. So that surrender will weaken and dissolve the ego. So either that or this path where we constantly contemplate and meditate, and then some point in time, suddenly everything disappears. So this ego is the main problem. Manobuddhi ahankara chittani na aham na cha shotra jivve na cha prana netre. So in the first verse, of course, Adi Shankaracharya negates the subtle body he has taken of the first. So subtle body comprises of all the antakaran chatushtay as well as the sense organs. And also he has negated the Panchamahabhutas, space, air, fire, water, and earth. These are the Panchamahabhutas. So he has negated that also. From the Panchamahabhutas, the subtle aspect of that Panchamahabhuta that has gone in the formation of the subtle body, the sense organs, the mind intellect equipment, mind intellect and chitta equipment. So that has gone into that. The tanmatras of the Panchamahabhuta, the subtler aspect. And then Chidananda Rupaha Shiva Aham, Shiva Aham. So after the first three lines where all the negations are there, then the assertion is that I am of the nature of pure blissful awareness, which is auspicious. I am auspicious. I am Shiva Aham. Shiva is auspiciousness. Auspicious I am. Auspicious I am. So, after this, we'll take up a new shloka today, the second one. Now, here, of course, Adi Shankaracharya ji, after discussing the subtle body, negating it as not self, now he takes up the gross physical body. In the second verse, he says, Nacha prana sangyah navai panchavayuhu नवा सप्त धातु नवा पंचकोशः नवाक्पाणिपादं नचोपस्थपायु चिदानंदरूपः शिवोहम शिवोहम न च प्राणसंज्ञः न वै प्राणवायुः न वा सप्त धातुः न वा पंचकोशः न वाक्पाणिपादं न च उपस्थपायु चिदानंद रूप शिव अहम शिव अहम. So here now the gross body is being negated here. Naja prana sanyah. So I am not the pranas. That is the white layer. Prana sanyah. Navai panchavayu. And also the panchavayu. Now panchavayu is the 5 types of vital layers. These also function through the body. All the physiological functions happen because of this panchavayu, the pranamayu, the panchapranas, the panchavayu. So they conduct different functions in the body. Because of this panchavayu, the physiological functions continue in the gross physical body. So we have now here, before we go into the discussion of this panchavayu and the panchapranas and the panchakoshas and all that thing, first thing here, what is discussed is what we need to understand is, as it is given here, that, and we have seen in our discussion on the reasons why we cannot be the body, we have seen the one of the reason is drashta drishya bheda, the seer seen difference. Whatever is seen cannot be the seer, plain and simple. This, of course, we have discussed many times. Or whatever I am aware of, I cannot be that. So, other than myself, whatever I am aware of, I cannot be that. So, I am aware of the body, I cannot be the body. I am aware of the pranas, so I cannot be the prana. Body, to I can see also. Body, I can see my organs also. So, everything I can see. So, I am the seer, the seen cannot be the seer. So, therefore, in the realization also, there is objectless, thought-free, pure, blissful awareness. There are no thoughts, no objects, nothing. It is just mere awareness. It is not awareness of something. I am aware of a tree, I am aware of a mountain, or I am aware of wind or something. No, no, no. So therefore, objectless. So there is no awareness of any object, and thought-free. There is no awareness of any thought going. So that is objectless, thought-free, infinite, pure blissful awareness. So where there is no other entity at all. So if we are seer, if we can see something, if I can see my body, definitely then I am not this body. If I am aware of the respiration that is going on, then I cannot be this respiration, the respiratory process, that I cannot be. So wherever the seen is there, it cannot be the seer. Seer is different from the seen. And if I'm aware of something, if I'm aware of some emotions arising in the mind, then I am not those emotions, not the container mind in which these emotions are arising. Or if I'm aware of the thoughts arising in the intellect, then I am not the thought. nor the intellect, the content called the container called the intellect where the thoughts arise. So neither of them. If the awareness is there, then I am not that which I am aware of. I am not that for which I am the seer, which can be seen, which I see. So I have to be other than that. So once we understand this, we are of course aware of the respiratory process that is going on 24 hours, every moment we are breathing. Only when there is some obstruction in the breathing, then we become much more aware of that. Otherwise, in the deep sleep state also we are breathing, but we are not aware of that in the deep sleep state. But if there is some obstruction to our breathing, we become very much aware of it, that I can't breathe properly, or I am having a shortness of breath, or there is some nasal block because of which I am finding it difficult to breathe, and so on.